Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm David.
And this is the Practical Guitarist Podcast.
The podcast for people who eat, sleep, and breathe guitar. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. Rules to our Great Lakes Guitar Pickup Giveaway. In cooperation with Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, we've got free pickups to give away. Jim and I will be demoing the pickups as long as our promotion goes on for it, and it's supposed to last for an entire year. Make sure you're watching and sharing the videos with interested friends. I mean, who couldn't use a set of killer guitar pickups, right? So here's how it's going to work. First, on February 11th, a special word will be posted on Great Lakes Guitar Pickups Facebook page. A second word or phrase will be placed randomly within the episode of the Practical Guitarist podcast that is released on February 11th. Combine both of these words and send us an email with them. All who respond with both words will be entered into the drawing. Also, once you win, don't bother entering again, as you will not be eligible going forward. Make sure you tell your friends. Hi, Jim.
Hi, David.
So there's this important event that happened in the last 2 weeks, I guess, for many musicians. I haven't really been paying that much attention to it. I've watched some coverage over the last couple of days. You know what that event's called? Because I can't seem to remember.
I know. I don't know. It had to do with a place in the East. Like Namm? Was it Namm?
Viet fucking Namm. All right, what we're talking about,
obviously,
Namm. And we, of course, made a joke about a movie. Not the place, not the war, but the movie that talks about Namm. That is Forrest Gump and the guy that's wearing an American flag, so immediately is in the wrong. But moving on. If you haven't seen the movie, check it out. Good music in that movie too, by the way. Yeah, so Namm happened. Tim, I know you have some very colorful thoughts.
I do.
Namm this year.
But I want to talk about, extremely. But I want to talk first about what Namm kind of means nowadays, because Namm has had I've been watching a lot of the coverage this year, and a lot of people are talking
covering Namm.
What's that?
This is our second year covering a Namm.
Yeah, and
we didn't go.
No. Now, that's what I was going to say. So there's kind of like four. I'm generalizing, of course, but there's kind of four camps of Namm, of people that are interested at all in Namm. Because when I walk outside my door and I mention it, people are like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I mean, they just don't care. They literally don't care. Yeah. And yet you'll see guitar players that literally in tears almost on the internet going, "I can't believe I can't go to Namm." So anyway, there's really four kind of camps of people. There's the people who went, and they went there for the purpose, the biggest purpose, obviously, that it was built, at least, that it was created. Mm-hmm. And that was to for finding information about gear and vending.
Yeah.
Which is almost, in the guitar community at least, almost completely nil. Then you've got the people who go there to mingle. Those are your YouTubers. Those are your professional musicians.
And these days, those people do have connections to the industry in a lot of cases.
Absolutely, and I'm not undermining that or trying to say that or lessen the importance of it. As a matter of fact, that's what I want to kind of get to here in a minute. Then there's people who didn't go and don't care, like myself. And then there's people who couldn't go and wanted to go, but they were like, "Oh, it's not open to the public," and I couldn't get a ticket. So
I could have gone this year. I'm just too poor to afford the plane ticket.
Well, I'm sure I could have pulled a string and got there, but
we both could have got there. We're pressed now, but
right. But why? I mean, it's just another YouTuber. It's just another podcaster. It's just another person there doing the same thing as the 100 other podcasters.
Yeah, it's well covered. In fact, Jim and I we kind of been going back and forth about doing this episode all week, and I've listened to other podcast coverage, and I'm like, there's not really a whole lot here that we're going to say that they didn't already.
Right. Well, I want to talk to what you were talking about. So, a couple other podcasters were talking about this, and one of the things was about how it's not open to the public. And I'm gonna give a good reason that it never should be, by the way, but that I think it never should be. But on the other side of it, because I think that what will happen if they open it to the public, it'll become just nothing. It won't. It'll be like the Sweetwater event.
There'll be a couple of things that happen. Well, for number one, it'll never open to the public because this is not a sales venue.
Right. Well, see, that's what they were talking about. So these other YouTubers and podcasters were talking about the fact that what they should do is, in all reality, and it's been a long time. We're talking a long time that the vendors had already their salespeople had already reached out to their bigger distributors and distributors. Their sales their sales locations. And so they had already gone through everything and said, hey, here, as a matter of fact, this year, and I'm going to talk specifically to the Acoustasonic, which obviously I'm less than excited. I would be more excited about Charmin introducing a new toilet paper than the Acoustasonic. I
have only heard one person say that they are excited about that thing.
Yeah, I am.
Or think it's cool in some way.
Yeah, for $2,000, they can keep that thing. That's for sure.
Well,
matter of fact, for $500, they can keep that thing.
Let's cover that thing later in the episode because I have a lot to say.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was saying is, so what happened, and that's only one thing that I saw several of, where like a group that did fantastic NAMM coverage was Anderson's, and the day of NAMM, right, the morning of NAMM, they released their video that they had shot actually in December before Christmas of the Acoustasonic. So they were, and they admitted,
actually had a pair of them.
Yeah, we're doing this and blah blah blah, and we're talking about the Acoustasonic, and they had them in stock. And the day NAMM hit, now this is a good thing. By the way, I'm thinking this is a good thing. The day NAMM hit, the day the announcement was there, Sweetwater had them in stock. Guitar Center had them. Everybody had
quite a few products actually debuted that way this year. I forget there was something else that was announced that I went and I looked and Sweetwater had them in stock, and I went, "Well, holy hell!"
Yeah. What was the other? We did look up another thing that Sweetwater had.
I honestly don't remember.
I want to say it was that amplifier or something, but anyway,
it could be
that. What was the amplifier that somebody was excited about?
I don't think it was the Pete Thorne one.
The Pete Thorne. Oh yeah, but they did have it listed already. Yeah. And so obviously, and this is the thing that the other podcasters were talking about and YouTubers were talking about, because these people were also at one time in the buying, selling community. They were talking about the fact that, these things were already done. The deals were already made. And a lot of times what would happen, I'll mention one of them, Phil McKnight was saying that they would send him a ticket. He was like, I don't even need to go. When he had a store, he had a large store. Yeah. He was a over $1 million a year store. So when, as a matter of fact, over a few million, if I remember it right, like 3 to 3.5 million a year. So he's, he was what they would call a lower end of a medium store. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now, and for a mom and pop, that's pretty good, right? So, anyway, he was talking about how he had already put in his orders. Everything was done. Him going to NAMM at that time, because he wasn't a YouTuber, he said, I could have stayed home. I got nothing at NAMM that I didn't already have. The flyers had already been sent to him. The emails had already been sent. Everything was done. So my point is that what he was saying, and what a few others were agreeing with, is that they should have NAMM like Thursday, which is I guess opening day.
Yeah.
They could do all of just, don't let anybody else in. Don't let press in. Don't let anything else. Just distributors and the stores, the buyers.
And all the networking stuff, right?
Right. No, right. But you're not networking, not the networking that musicians do, because what it's become.
Yeah, but I don't consider that networking. Like what NAMM's purpose is for the distributors.
See, that's just it. Networking. I mean, all you saw from a lot of podcasters was, "Hey, look at this! There's another podcaster. There's another podcaster. Oh, I got to meet so-and-so podcaster."
I was watching Ola, and he's just literally walking around and talking to like Tyler Lawson and all the other. Like it was really kind of funny. It's like, really? you can't turn around without like running into another podcaster.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Or not podcaster, but YouTuber. Like in his case,
right?
Like scratching my head. Like, okay,
yeah, you couldn't sling a dead cat without a YouTuber with a microphone in their face. In front of them. And so, to me, that means that there was way too much.
Well, what that means is that all the Namm coverage is on YouTube now.
Right. Well, there's that too. I mean, even the printed, groups, Guitar Player, Guitar World, they were there.
We were talking about this before it happened. Like when I first heard about Namm, I'd been playing about a year or two, and I picked up an issue of one of the guitar magazines, and I flipped through, and they're like, "Oh, here's all the new products," and then I saw the words Namm, and I started to realize, like, oh, so this is the trade show for the industry,
right?
And it was kind of funny because I had this weird impression at the time. It was like, oh, this is where everybody goes to announce their new product. Right. That's really not what it was. And it took me a year or two to realize, oh no, this is really about like Fender selling to its dealers, or in the case of Fender, they don't really do that. Okay.
Right.
And it really almost no company does it that way anymore. What they do is they have these back channel like websites and stuff that if you're a regular dealer of theirs, you can go to this website and see new products before they happen. A lot of times while they're in development, because they want the dealers excited so that the dealers will hold on to money so they'll buy it because they know it's going to sell well in their store.
Which at one time was the purpose of Namm, because they didn't have that. That high
speed. Or the internet.
We're not talking that long ago, 15, 20 years, or about 15, 20 years ago, when companies were all on the internet, and when suddenly everybody had a web presence.
When they had their dealer portal that showed up.
And so what would happen is Phil McKnight was saying that they would send him a ticket. Here's a ticket to Namm. Here's a flight. We're going to pay for everything. We want you out here. Please stop by my booth so I can tell Fender I met with you. Even though the order was already placed. He said, why? I've already placed my order. And so
it's about making a quota.
Yeah, it was about
the regular touchy-feely, like touching base with this particular person. And now I can see it with
a company like Anderton's. I get it, because for them to be able to touch it, unless like with the Acoustasonic where it was already in their hands, Paul Reed Smith had that booth, and it was well done. I thought that Paul Reed Smith's booth was really well done as far as what you could see, and the Namm coverage that they did was really good. But so then you've got, like I said, you've got that other side of it. And it almost becomes like, I've talked about this before, the YouTuber is then the celebrity. Because it's, like I said, you can't sling a dead cat without having a YouTuber meeting a YouTuber. And it's like, but you're not a celebrity. A lot of people know who you are. I guess that is a version of celebrity, but you're not really.
To be honest with you, Jim, I think that some of the YouTubers now are bigger than your regular players. And I'm not talking about the classic rock guys, the guys from the 70s and 80s, and really even the 90s, but they are today's popular guitar players.
Yeah, it's becoming that again. It's becoming that way.
Oh, I think it's been that way for a while already. I think we're just now becoming aware of
it. Okay, so I'm going to say this. So Tim Pierce is a prime example. I could speak to Dave Walleman. I could speak to
even Greg Koch.
Here's these individuals who at one time they were the ones behind the scenes. They were the ones. Tim Pierce, for example, was laying down tracks for people. Dave Walleman was doing stuff for people. Greg Koch was doing stuff for Fender and for somebody else. And so all these big names weren't really big names. Tim Pierce, who knew who Tim Pierce was outside of, until he went to YouTube and said, I'm Tim Pierce. And by the way, I played the solo on She's a Little Runaway on, Bon Jovi.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff. And that's the thing. Like if you read liner notes, you might know more.
Right.
If you're digging deep enough, you might know who he was. But his real celebritydom came out of the fact that he was like coming out and saying these things on YouTube and other media.
Right, because there was a time, like I was listening to Steve Lukather today, and he was talking about how he was on an album and Cheap Trick, and his name didn't wind up on the liner notes. So there was a, it's a possibility that Tim Pierce wasn't on the liner notes.
There was a lot of wink, wink, like, don't tell anybody you did this for us too, which
correct.
I suspect may be going on in some of those instances. But
yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of reasons for that. They don't want to have to pay. I
think more often than not, they're probably getting paid for it. Or it's one of these things. Is like it's a session where you get paid for the session itself,
and you're out.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the time, even today, somebody like Luke Lather, I can never say his name right.
Lukather.
When he comes out in the public and says, "Oh well, I did this,"
Yeah.
and everybody's like, "Well, you weren't liner notes," and then they listen back and they're like, "Well, it's clearly him," but then at the same time, it's like, well, maybe he's breaking his promise to them now.
Yeah.
And I always wonder if
how long was the gag?
Behind the scenes was like, I'm not going to tell anybody. And then now that it's been like 20 years and they made all their money, he's like,
fuck it.
Yeah. just no, that was me.
Yeah, that was me. But that's not the point. The point is that now these things, this groundswell of this new celebrity has emerged. And you got to wonder when the bubble's going to break. But
if there's a bubble at all.
Exactly. So that pushes, because these YouTube celebrities, most of us are there are people that they're very accessible. They're, you could probably find out where these people live.
Yeah, it's like Jim and I, unfortunately.
Yeah, pretty easily.
Thank God I haven't received a mail bomb.
And so, that's exactly right. So I was going to get to the last thing, and that was the reason I would never think that I would never want Namm to be completely open to the public is for that very reason. I think that there are security concerns, and I don't think if you open that thing to the public, I don't think you're going to see a Steve Vai there anymore. Not during the public days. I don't think you're going to see a Phil X. I think
that's a good point. I think even more to that end is the fact that it's not really necessarily a security risk. Those people don't need that hassle.
No.
They call up. You think for a second Steve Vai needs to go to Namm for anything? I mean, he gets on the phone and he can call up Cliff over at Fractal, or he can call up, who's the head guy over at I forget his name is. He called him up and just ask him, like, what's going on? And they'll tell him because they know they for one thing, they've had a 25+ year relationship and they're willing to play ball with him.
Exactly. He doesn't need to. He can call anybody. He could cold call
people that he doesn't have good relationships
Fender
with
and say, you know what? I've been looking for a new amp guy. Can you tell me? And then suddenly, Fender is at his beck and call.
Mm-hmm,
and
even if it isn't necessarily them pointing at themselves, and they say, well, we know this guy that builds custom amps for a couple people that we've done work for. The custom shop, they would do that for him just because that gets them in his good graces. And maybe he calls back later and says, okay, I'm looking for a new acoustic.
Right. Can you send me one of those Acoustasonics? And then the next thing you know, Steve Vai was playing an Acoustasonic.
Bullshit.
Well, I'm just using that as an example. And so, and then you get to the last part, and that is obviously the people who are in the complete outside of the bubble, and they're not they're sitting at home. They watch these channels. They have no idea how much work it goes into them, because I don't know if you know. I mean, and I know how much work goes into this stuff, but when you're outside of this, you have no idea the time sink and the money sink this stuff is. People are like, and it's not good. But that said, what I was getting at is that those folks are they are the end consumer of everything. They're the end consumer of the YouTube channel. They're the end consumer of the podcast. They're the end consumers of everything. That's where that's the fans. That's the money. That's where everything is. And so that's my fourth type of person. So arguably, Namm is no longer. I'm sure somebody's using it for this, but I doubt very much anybody has to. And that is the bridge between the industry and the sales folks. I don't think I think that part of it, at least in the guitar community. Now, something that someone who has been there will tell you is Namm is not just as much as we want to think it is.
Hell no.
It's not just about guitars.
Now I will say this though, Jim. Guitars make up 2/3 of the industry, even now, because we are to be completely frank, if we go back and we talk about Guitar Center started as an organ center.
Yes.
Okay. There was a time when keyboards and organs and stuff like that were the top selling instruments in the United States. When they realized that time had passed and the fad of rock and roll had taken on and everybody was buying electric guitars, that's when they flipped over and became Guitar Center. Now, you got to understand, 2/3 of your people who consider themselves musicians in the States are guitar players. 2/3.
Yes, but I'm gonna say this: the big part of Namm still, because of what its real purpose is still band instruments for schools. It's
Pro
still
audio.
So you've got, I don't know if Con still exists, but it was Con, CONN. They were in the Midwest. You had, you have audio. You have now EDM is still out there, and EDM is a big part of it.
A lot of
EDM,
recording industry stuff. Right.
So we've got to, we as guitar players think very much in our bubble, and that is that guitar is the center of the universe. I think that Namm provides, though, the one thing it does provide is where else you're going to get Paul Henning, Andertons, and these people into one place.
Speed ups, and it's not. Yeah. And actually, the things that are most interesting to me are you see somebody like Henning Pauly and Steve Vai walking around together, and you're like, wait, right. What? Because you wouldn't normally catch those guys together.
And you wouldn't think
does your videos where they team up with celebrity guitar players and stuff. But I mean, I wouldn't expect Henning Pauly to be walking around with somebody like not to say that some of these guys aren't as good, but I'm just saying somebody of that ilk, because it's like they're really in different worlds.
Right. That's what I was going to say. They are. It's not that. That's like saying you would see name Christian Bale with Pauly.
Now we've got crossover celebrity stuff going on too.
Yeah.
I saw Fred Armisen in a picture there. You don't know Fred Armisen? He's the guy from Portlandia. Now he is a musician,
right?
And he's on I think Seth Meyers' show, right? He's like the band leader for that show. But and he's not everybody's cup of tea. I think the fact that he's a musician gives him more of a reason to be there. But at the same time, I kind of looked at the whole situation and shook my head and I went, why is Fred Armisen touring Namm? It just doesn't seem like his scene at all.
Yeah, exactly.
In a lot of ways, it's become the place to be.
Right. And again, it's more about, you see more and more of it being people who want to meet people.
Yeah. I mean, these days, these people that act like the screaming babies on the internet that act like, oh, I can't get into Namm. Listen, anybody can get into Namm now. Anyone. I mean, you just have to ask the right people and know the right people.
But the thing is that I can tell you this: 5 years ago, I wouldn't have known what Namm was if you swung a cat at. I mean, I just did not know what.
And that's been built up by the media, man.
I didn't care. I honestly did not care. Matter of fact, I could say that probably three and a half years ago, if you said, "Yeah, I'm going to Namm," I'd be like, "Well,
why would you go to?
You better want to bring some mosquito repellent."
Yeah, why would you want to go to Asia?
What are you going to do? Did you join the army?
Did you fight a land war in Asia?
You looking for old mines? I mean, I don't know what you're doing over there.
Oh my God!
What?
I know.
Don't think they don't exist.
Oh, I know that we still have Jim. Yeah. We're still recovering munitions in Europe from World War I and II.
We still have a. Remind me a Europe thing here in a second, but we still have a DMZ over there. But anyway, or is that Korea? That's
Korea.
Korea? And is Vietnam still got a DMZ?
No, we left.
Oh, that's right. We pulled completely out of it. I know that Korea. That's right. Korea. We've still got a DMZ. So in other news, well, speaking of Namm, one of the things that Anderton's was talking about, the captain Lee Anderton was talking to Paul Reed Smith. And Paul Reed Smith said, "Yeah, you love that car of yours." And he said, "What kind of car is it?" Because he's and then you find out Anderton's got a diesel Porsche. And to find out, diesel is going to be illegal in Europe.
Yeah,
shortly, very shortly. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, the European Union.
That's a weird place to find that kind of news.
I don't know if England's making it illegal. I know the European Union is, which is why the French government is in upheaval right now because so the guy that got elected president in France, you can reread about it. But basically, there's an energy crisis. The French president's a crook. The people are pissed. They're going to overthrow the government. There's been massive rioting there. It's not stopped. Despite what the media has told you, there are still massive protests. And that country is extremely unstable right now.
Yeah. And so he was talking about how his car will be worth nothing.
Yeah.
And I guess they're trying to get to where you will have electric vehicles only.
Well, and that's the current regime in England, but that may not stay that way. There's too many people in that country that are relying on fossil fuels.
If you think about it, there in large shipping stuff there is, but if you think about it in commuting, the size of England, just the physical size of England, you can do that in an electric car now.
Oh no! I'm not saying that you can't have electric cars. I'm just saying you can't get everybody to replace them within
Oh no, they're talking 15, 20 years now.
Yeah, that's just not going to happen. So, and that's the other thing is you got to remember, and I'm going to wax political here for a minute, but all these countries are like, oh, we got to get all these gasoline and diesel powered vehicles off the road. Really, if you just get your trucks off the road, your semi trucks, most of your goods are still transported via semi truck, and that's what puts out the most pollution by head and shoulder. By a
long shot.
Yeah.
A long shot. I live near a large trucking transfer station thing where they take them off of the because down here they're coming off of ships. They go through. That's why you hear that train all the time going by my house.
Yeah,
they go by train over to. That's another one that's putting out a lot of emissions. Then they go to the transfer station. It gets puts on 18-wheelers. The 18-wheelers go out to the highway.
Let's back out of the politics for it. So here's the thing I found interesting. When you look at the brands that actually don't go to Namm. Analog Man.
Well, interesting. Gibson did this year. Gibson has not been to Namm in years. They did their own little thing up the street or whatever.
Well, they did do Summer Namm.
Yeah, Summer Namm.
But that's because it's local to them. It's very easy for them to do the Summer Namm. Yeah. Gibson wanted to have, I think they had a booth presence because I've seen coverage of their booth presence a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. But their booth was a lot smaller, and then they would always have a satellite thing where they would take people.
Right. I thought that they had the big thing was the satellite that was off campus.
Well, Gibson used to do late year product launches too, and that was part of what propelled that because they knew that there was too many people from the public in Namm to be showing off stuff that was going to come out late in the year. So they were still kind of clandestine about it. Honestly, at this point, they should get on the annual release cycle with everybody else, unless they have some specialty thing coming out. But Gibson's still making some weird shit, man. Like the Slash Firebird. What the fuck?
Yeah.
He's really known for Firebirds, right? He used a Firebird on that one song back in
Remember that one song one time?
Yeah.
Remember?
So let's make a signature for him. It actually kills me.
They're making him a signature toothbrush tomorrow. So
probably. They probably already have.
But remember that one time Slash used a toothbrush? But
oh God.
So I'm just messing with the Slash.
Was that for cleaning the little metal things on his top hat?
So that's not where a toothbrush goes. Anyway, so the Namm thing. Let's talk about what. What did you hear about it, Namm? because I'm still like I'm relatively head in the sand on this thing because I just don't care. Stuff hits the shelves, it hits the market, it hits the YouTube channels, and I go, that's kind of
Kiesel brought out a straight up Strat copy.
Wow, yeah, no kidding, right?
Well, no, and so I want to kind of preface this. They had the Bolt before, which was a super Strat-ish. It was a Strat, but it did not have the contours and the belly cut in the same way that the Delos does, which is their Strat copy. I will say this much: the sculpted heel.
Yep.
I mean, that's a big selling point for Strat players, and it's got it.
Yeah, when I saw you sent me a picture, and so I went to or a link, and I went to their site, and then I looked up some pictures. Holy crap!
Yeah, they're doing some really stunning work on that thing.
First of all, gorgeous guitar.
They built a clear one,
and I'm going to say this: I'm going to put even G&L up run for their money because this is an American-made.
Their hardware's better. G&L's hardware is better. I know that's the only thing I can say.
Stratolite that this is gonna do some sales. I think this is gonna boost some sales.
It's gonna do really well for them. I think. So here's my hot take on it. I won't buy one right now, and it's not because of the G&L thing. Actually, I would consider it if it had a Floyd Rose, and if they did it with multi-scale. They're doing it with 7-string. They need an 8-string version too, and these things may come later. Some of their other models have been that way too. But honestly, I think I would rather have their Aries, which is that ugly fucking guitar with the crazy like top route.
Yeah, weird.
Because it's comfort. Like for just pure comfort. Like it's an ugly fucking guitar. I know people will probably say, "Oh, you're wrong." I think they're ugly as sin. And the whole thing where they do the backwood and then they route the top wood so there's like you can see the backwood. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous looking.
Yeah, it's fugly.
But if you could put a Floyd Rose on one, it's going to play pretty much like a Strat.
Yeah.
I'm
100% sure that if you special ordered one with a Floyd Rose, you could get it.
Oh, I'm sure they'll probably do it. It'll be extra money though.
Yeah.
That's how Kiesel is. It's like, you want this option that's not in the books? Oh, that'll cost you an extra $500.
Well, the options, as you know, they scale. But I would imagine that having to route out for a Floyd Rose and do the other.
I seen some shit, man. Let me tell you. Okay, so I'll reveal.
Well, plain old wood. I've seen. Hey, you want this wood? Oh, that's an extra $1,000.
I'll reveal this for the group. I'm in the Carvin Kiesel owners group, whatever the hell it is, on Facebook. I joined a while back, and for whatever reason, you guys know how critical I've been of Jeff Kiesel, right?
Right.
So today I was at work and I was doing this video and I looked at my phone for a minute and I got the notification that says that have you got this super fan thing from anybody before? They gave you this badge. It's a Facebook badge called Super Fan. I'm already a super fan for Mrs. Smith, but I get one for Jeff Kiesel. And I'm like, really? Do you even know who I am? Like that was the way I was like, what? Are you fucking serious?
He's being the bigger man.
I don't think he gave it out. That's all I'm saying.
I know.
And if he's aware of me, if he's aware of me, Jeff, we'd love to have you on the show. Come on, we'll do it.
We should, yeah.
I'd love to have you on the show.
Yeah, we should.
But the thing is, I got this thing, and I was just flabbergasted. But I'm in that group, and so I see these people talking about the options and prices and stuff that Kiesel does for custom stuff. I mean, It's just insane on some of this stuff. They made an $18,000 Koa Angel is what they call it, and it is a guitar that is solid, is one piece of solid Koa book matched. Okay, and the most ridiculous flame Koa you've ever seen in your life, and I think they took one to the Namm, and I just sat there and I was like, who orders an $18,000 Kiesel? Isn't the appeal that you can get a custom shop guitar at a bargain price? Yeah, you can get a custom shop Kiesel even with a few amenities for less than $1,500. Yeah, I mean, you can get into a nice Kiesel for way under $1,500. Oh, way under. If you're willing to go bolt on. If you really want a set neck, you're looking at $1,500 plus, between $1,500 and $2,000. And if you want to go nuts, you can. Sky's the limit. What do you want? you know.
Right.
and
But I've seen him though. Like he'll do his weekly thing, and I do like this about him. He'll say, "Hey, this piece of wood is up. If you order it in
here's
the next
number, like call us and we'll hook you up." Yep.
And he does the regular. He's a QSC genius. I'm telling you, or a QVC GeniUs. He gets on there. He's like, this wood here. Let me get it wet for you. And he puts some water on it. He says, look at how good this would look on your guitar. And then he goes, I can give you this top normally. And this is what I love about him. Normally it'd be like $700, but today you can get it for $200. But you gotta order it right now.
Yeah. So you know how Paul Reed Smith has the wood vault, right? Like they have the same thing. And he'll go through there sometimes and like take pictures or whatever. He's a character. I got to give him that. I mean, I don't really think that.
He's a regular Susan Lucci,
but he is kind of like he strikes me as like a used car salesman. Like
he is,
you know, you buy this top now, or I'm gonna club this baby seal.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's like, you can buy it now and you can get it for $200, or I'm going to put it back in the vault. It's going to be $600 later.
Yeah.
I mean, and it works. I've seen him sell every one of them.
Oh, I know. While he's doing the live stream,
while he's doing the live stream, he goes, I'll show it one more time. Hey, he's got his assistant over there. I love that guy. His sycophant, Jeff or Jerry or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And he's over there. Hey, we got any? So-and-so wants to see that piece of wood again. Can you get it wet? Yeah. Then he goes, oh. And then the guy from the back, well, never mind, it's sold.
So now they have the Triumvirate now though. They have a Telecaster.
Yep.
They have the Delos, which is their Strat. They have a Les Paul.
Yep.
They need an SG.
They do.
And then once that's done, they'll have the four main ones, and then they can sell their metal guitars. The metal guitars are still going to be the core of their business. That's not going.
That is, and honestly, when you look at Kiesel right now, Kiesel in general, that's their core. That's the core sales.
Yeah.
Is metal. They're not looking to sell to somebody like me. That's popular.
No, not at all. Or me for that matter.
They could care less about me. Yeah. They don't care about the blues guys. They don't care about the.
I don't know. Say they don't care, but that's not who they're marketing to. That's
their market, and they do a good job. Is to the metal community, and honestly, they make a great solid instrument for a really great price. And I think that there were a lot of people saying that when I saw pictures from their booths, exciting product. They really brought it this year.
Yeah. So anyway,
what else were you excited about?
They had the clear guitars. I thought those were really cool. They're not selling them. These were custom one-offs. They said they weren't really going to get into making acrylic guitars, and they meant it. They were done to show off the electronics and the passages. I guess they got some new electronics coming out, and they've been working with Fishman. They actually install Fishman sets. So I'm wondering if they're kind of going after that Fishman market with their own product internally.
Yep.
What else did I see that I like? The of course the Boss the Waza amp switcher, not the amp switcher, reactive load box. Yeah, the reactive load box. Now that's so I saw some European pricing on that, which leads me to believe it's going to be about $1,500 American. That's pretty. Nobody knows. I've heard all over the place. I've heard everywhere, everything from $900 to $2,000. Yeah, and the fact is, regardless of how it goes in the U.S., because I've only seen some UK pricing, and that was we don't know how accurate the pricing. It's gonna be. This is my prediction, and there's nothing other to back it up other than the other industry products that are out there that do what it does. It's gonna be either within $100 of the ox, or it's gonna undercut it severely. Right. So, but I do want to say now I'm not excited about it. Personally, for my personal use, I'm not sure that I would buy one. Like I'm excited because I want to see it, and if it ends up being a product that I really have a use for, then it's something that I would get into. I don't think it's not the be all end all. Line 6 held their event. They announced the new Helix stuff, the new patches, models, and all that. New colors. Well, no, those weren't new colors. I know. Okay, just making sure. I've heard people talk about when are the colors? I know. No, those were one-off things. They were one-off things, and I think those were skins of some kind that they put on or something. No, anodized metal. Yeah, they were anodized. But So the weird thing is, like, Line 6 didn't have a product to show for Namm.
Nope, nothing new.
There are rumors going around that they are still working on a Variax in the RevStar. That's been a rumor for a while now. So if you know Yamaha Line 6, same company, all of their guitar bodies are basically, like for the standard Variax line, are all Yamaha, Pacifica, or you know, that kind of stuff. And they want to, the RevStar is selling like hotcakes to them. It's doing really well. And they'd love to get those electronics into a RevStar. But my understanding is that there's actually been some technical hurdles for that. Yep. The other thing is, I think if they do that, they're kind of worried they're going to cannibalize sales of the standards. So I don't think that will be a Namm announcement product. I think you'll see the regular standard Variax
just kind of
dry up.
Yep. And then the RevStars will just slowly
show up, and everybody will be like, okay, that makes sense. Yep. They have massive holes in their product line for Variax right now. I'm sorry, but the Shuriken, it's ugly as sin. And I cannot imagine that guitar selling. What they should do,
I was less excited about that than I was about the Acoustasonic, and I am really not.
We're getting there because I'm headed there. The Shuriken, that thing is actually it is a signature model for the guitarist from 12-Foot Ninja, McKay.
Yes,
McKay, Colin McKay, or I mean, I actually kind of enjoy their music. I'm not a big fan; it's a little poppy for me.
Yep.
But I kind of like. I think that they should leave it as a signature model for him and get a real metal guitar out.
Right.
As quickly as they can.
Yeah.
I would like to. Why not a 7-string Variax or an 8-string? I mean, they've already got a baritone, so I mean, they're kind of. And if that's really where the market needs to grow for them, because that I think. So
I'd like to see numbers for 7 strings, because I wonder if you're really selling enough 7 strings to make the worth.
I think it's a really specific market. I think if you're going to sell metal guitars, you have to offer 7 and 8 nowadays. Even if it's just one model in your entire lineup that does it. I was actually looking at the Tosin stuff.
Yep.
There's a huge controversy about Tosin right now because his the company that's producing his guitars is in a war with the guy that was actually building them. I won't go into specifics. You can read up on it. It looks like it's just a business relationship going really far south, and both sides are kind of saying some shit that's like, nah, that's really not accurate. So here's the situation. They gave him a big deposit. He ran off with some of the deposit money as profit, right? And then was not able to provide the goods that were deposited for.
Ooh.
Of course, Bossy's pissed.
Yeah.
And so they're parting ways. But it's one of those things where it's like, well, when you're building for other people, you do have to kind of take some of that as profit. So yeah, he can be mad, and yes, he should be able to deliver the goods, and that should be his top priority. But at the same time, it's like it's kind of how the world works. Now they're claiming, and this is why I take issue with it. They're claiming embezzlement, and it's like, well, he's not working for you. So I don't know. I mean, again, lawyers will sort that out. Nobody's going to get hurt in that one, except that maybe he'll have to pay back money. It's not going to be a nightmare. It's just a lot of people are really fired up about it. And I just thought it was kind of silly. And of course, Gibson's new lineup for this year is actually really good. They now remember we were talking about Summer Namm. Everyone's like, oh, the new lineup or whatever. Like, this is wonderful. I really think that they didn't really show much at Summer Namm. I think what they showed this year is starting to indicate like they're listening, and they know what they have to do, because they even had their booth this year was really impressive. They had people actually finishing guitars and stuff in their booth just to show people like we are about quality. We've always been about quality, but the problem is that the perception does not necessarily match reality.
Right.
So now they're gonna have to change that. And just making the choice to like put out standards that are standards.
Yeah. That was that's something we talked about 2 years ago.
No more standard traditional.
A year ago. Yeah.
I mean, and they didn't need a standard traditional and standard high performance. What they need is a standard and a modern. And I think actually said that.
Yeah.
If you go back and listen to that episode, I'm pretty sure you'll find us saying we need a standard.
A standard and we need a modern, and that's it.
Now they still have a huge lineup.
And they've got the classic.
I don't
I
think
mean,
it's going to change, but
you've got the classic and you've got the traditional, but finally, and you've got the studio, but you finally got the ability to look at a Les Paul standard and say, okay, I can afford a Les Paul standard, or I can afford a Les Paul. The classic. Honestly, if you want a true Les Paul that's no bells, no whistles, go buy a classic or a traditional and put a standard truss rod cover on it, because that's really the only difference between that and an old standard.
I felt there was a lot of diversity in their lineup too, and it started to feel more like a Fender lineup in the sense that when they were walking around the booth in these various clips, like it just seemed to me like there's a lot of variety here, but not things you don't want to see.
Right. And the other thing they were listening to is they said, okay, you got your choice of the 50s neck or the 60s neck. So now you can say, okay, I want a Les Paul, I want a Les Paul standard, but do I have to wait for next year to get the right neck? No, now you can choose the neck of your choice.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, like, and that's something that I think that really should be dictated by whether you want traditional, modern.
Right.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think they're making some good improvements over there. It'll be interesting to see what the pricing is. I don't think any of the pricing was announced. At least I didn't see any of it.
I didn't.
And hopefully
we can be sure that they're going to be in line with the standard that has been out there.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's going to be similar to a standard traditional price, probably.
Yeah, $2,700, $3,200.
Yeah,
in that ballpark.
Right, because that's what a Les Paul goes for nowadays.
That's right. And that's what you're gonna give for it.
Which brings us to the cake of this episode. This is the thing that everybody wants to hear us comment about, I'm sure. The Fender booth. The Fender.
I don't want to end on that though.
No, we got more to talk about after that. But I think we should take a good 10 minutes and discuss the piece of shit,
the atrocity that is the
shit in the room. What were they thinking?
Who left that giant turn in the corner?
If you're in the guitar community and you haven't seen the Acoustasonic, first off, where the fuck have you been? Yeah. Because honestly, I told Jim when it got announced, every other photo in my Instagram feed for 2 days was a paid ad by Fender for an Acoustasonic. By paid ad, I mean it's like either a YouTuber or somebody was playing an Acoustasonic.
Yep.
Or it was literally an ad from Fender, like, hey, check out the Acoustasonic.
Yep. FMIC.
I have no idea why they're marketing this thing to me. Meaning, they can do these targeted marketing efforts and stuff, and like why I'm ending up with this crap, because I am not their target market for this guitar, right? Like, first and foremost. The guy that's learning to play Cult of Personality at his house right now is not the guy that's going to be buying a fucking Acoustasonic. This is a coffee house guitar. That's what this is, right? So it's for the guy that plays coffee house gigs, probably not making a ton of money doing it. He really likes playing music for small crowds, and probably makes a decent amount in tips, but it's not like, paying the bills money, right?
Right.
And so when I saw the Acoustasonic, I thought, oh, look, they did another teleacoustic, because they've done the Stratacoustic and they did the teleacoustic for a while. And I think they brought the teleacoustic back because it got canceled for a while. And then I was never big on either of those because they were cheap. But like the thing was that, if you needed an acoustic guitar that kind of played like an electric and you were doing a little gimmick thing live, like I got it. They were like $30, right? They were not
right. They're cheap.
So then I see the Acoustasonic and I hear some of the demos, and believe me, they got some great players playing this thing. That Danish Pete, oh my God, he did some shit with that guitar that I was just like, my jaw hit the floor.
Yep.
And
incredible.
Jeff Biesiadekby turned me on to that video, and I was just like, holy hell. But the guitar itself was not what impressed me.
It didn't make me want one.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Usually his playing, it's like, oh, you know what? I'd love to check out
like that purple Telecaster he's got. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I did not want an acoustic sound. When he was done, I was not like, wow, I want one of those. When he was done, I was like, wow, I'd love to play like that.
And that's when it started to go off the rails. I saw the video and I was like, how much is this thing gonna be?
Yep.
Like, it's coffee house guitar. I figure $600 to $800.
Yep.
I figure $800 was on the extreme high end.
Right.
And they would be competing with like Taylor acoustics, right? Like that's what they're doing here. And the funny thing was, when I saw the price, I about died laughing. I was like, they're going to sell like 10 of these. $2,000.
You have
Fender,
got to be.
There is not a guitar in Fender's line that I would pay $2,000 for, let alone this abomination.
That is Stratocaster. That's elite Stratocaster. That's elite Telecaster. That's it's the entire elite line.
I would argue that the elites shouldn't be $2,000 either. I think they should be
I don't.
50.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Looking at this thing and going, why is this your flagship for Namm? Like, is this all you got? Is this all you brought to the table at this point?
Ugh.
For several years, Fender has done this kind of horse shit where they had the what's the alternate universe series or whatever and then that was
where you had the Stratocaster.
I know there's some hardcore people that really like those guitars, but that was that did not make them any money, and frankly, those guitars ended up on clearance. They couldn't get rid of that. They couldn't get rid of it.
And I can see this happening with this Acoustasonic.
Well, so I think the Acoustasonic is obviously one of these things where, like, Fender for years, for really like the last 10 years, it's got him into trouble with some people, has been trying to plug the acoustic line, right?
Yep.
And so they're probably doing some market research and looking at their line and going, okay, so who's our target market? And it's really, the 20 to 40 hipster, who is, either male or female, doesn't matter. Yep. Playing like coffee house style gigs. And I know I'm generalizing because we know that Fender has a much broader market base than that. But right now, that's who they're targeting. And so they're like, okay, so what would work for these people to get them to buy an acoustic guitar?
Right.
And they're thinking this is a gateway guitar. So like if you already have a Telecaster, which a lot of those people in that age group do,
right?
Like this is a gateway drug into, hey, maybe Fender's acoustics aren't as bad as we thought they were. And honestly, Jim, you're gonna poo-poo the shit out of me when I say this, but some of Fender's high-end acoustic guitars, and I mean the high-end ones, are pretty good. It's the cheap shit that they build millions of that have been dumpsters. They're terrible. But I mean, I've played a couple that I was like, if it didn't say Fender on the headstock, I might buy this. Because let's face it, nobody looks at an acoustic guitar with Fender's name on it and goes, oh, that's going to be worth something.
Yeah, nope.
and resale value is the name of the game here. I mean, if you get hard for money or you needed to sell it to get something else, and usually your acoustic guitar isn't your primary guitar anyway, that's the wrong way to approach this. Now, this is where the fun begins, right? So the Teleacoustic, is that what they're calling the thing? What do they call it?
No, the Acoustasonic.
Acoustasonic. They call it whatever the hell they want.
Here's let me before you go off on there. This is the thing. So the Acoustasonic is already a line of amplifiers, and those of you who don't know, it's typically a small combo, 60 to 120 watts. I think is the biggest one, with either a single or a single 10 or 12 or a pair of 10s or pair of 12s.
Yeah, it's their acoustic line.
That's right. And it's got a microphone input on one side and it's got an acoustic input on the other. And literally the two speakers are voiced so that you can sing through one and you're playing the acoustic guitar through the other. So
they're not awful, but
those are not high-end amplifiers. I mean, the Fishman blows them away. There's a California something that blows them away. There's
Mesa makes one that just destroys that fucking thing.
Yeah. And so you come out with the name of the amp line that's already not that good and made in China. Hey, there's that train.
So here's I'm gonna go through the Acoustasonic or whatever the hell they're calling it,
right?
And I want to talk about what I like. Okay, I actually do like the idea of a carved acoustic guitar because that's what this looks like, and I'm not sure if that's exactly how they're constructed, but that's what it looks like. It looks like a solid body guitar where they basically took out pretty much everything on the inside.
Yeah.
And then I like the idea of having a piezo system on any electric guitar. Things I don't like. Wooden bridge. Okay. They're a pain in the ass to work on. They're a pain in the ass to have worked on. They're expensive to fix and replace. Your action adjustments suck. You could have used a tele bridge on this and nobody would. You could probably have engineered it to sound proper too. I mean, you got Fender money. I'm sure you could make that happen. But here's the thing. The guitar doesn't sound good unplugged. Very clear.
That is what I wanted to get to. So I saw that same video you were talking about, and Anderton's, and they unplugged it, and it sounded like shit. It didn't sound. I've heard unplugged Gretches sound better than this thing does.
Right, and that's what I'm getting to. So it has the IR technology for modeling a good acoustic guitar by introducing its spatial characteristics and stuff into the sound, which is okay. I get it. However, what's the point of it then? I mean, honestly, if you're buying an acoustic guitar that you have to plug in, why the hell would you? I mean, that defeats the purpose, does it not?
That's what I got to.
A couple other things. Wound G string. I know this is making a comeback. People want them on electrics. I am not that guy. I am not that guy. And I'm looking at this going, what the fuck?
Because the person that doesn't play a lot of bends on their G string, no jokes here, that they don't mind. And there's some heavy-handed folks that do play heavier stuff. But personally, I don't want a wound G string. I just don't.
I don't. That's a minor gripe. I can always put an unwound G on there.
Right.
But I just feel like there's so many design compromises made to make this thing both an acoustic and an electric instrument. Because
it's not good at both. It's not good at either.
No, I think it's terrible at both, probably. Yeah. Okay, so everybody wants an acoustic guitar that plays like an electric guitar. That part I understand. And to look at this situation and see this thing, like, that makes sense to me. They're not the first company to attempt this kind of thing. Obviously, Kiesel's got their Zeus acoustic, and there's been other, attempts at this. You could even probably argue that like Godin's multi-acts and all that stuff have been kind of a similar attempt. But I think the one that stands out to me like to be the bigger value and the better instrument for the money is the damn Yamaha silent guitar.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what are you getting? You're getting an acoustic guitar that doesn't make noise, that sounds great plugged in, which is really what this thing is going to be good at.
And that was so that was one of the points that they were making on Anderton's, is that you could unplug it and you're almost silent. Well, then why don't just buy a Traveler?
Yeah, I mean, the Yamaha silent guitars, they're not Travelers, and they sound really fucking good plugged in. And that's just it, though. So here was two things that I noticed that it didn't do well when it came to Anderton's videos. Well, three. I'm going to say this. Number one, the IR technology that they used had the guys fiddling a lot with their knobs to make it sound like it was. Oh, this is supposed to be sit katop or whatever. It really wasn't that good. It wasn't that convincing. Yeah.
Number two, the electric sound was horrendous.
It's a really bad Telecaster pickup.
It was like
in fucking body.
Picture your worst Squire pickup. That's what it sounded.
I don't think it's necessarily the pickup. You know what I actually think it is? I think it's the guitar is hollow.
Right. I'm just saying, picture your worst Squire pickup, and that's what it sounded like. It had no life. It had no body. It had nothing. And then lastly, and you already pointed this out, and I agreed, its acoustic sound was horrendous. So if you add those three up, you really only have the IR thing, and like you said, it plugged in. It sounded pretty good, and that was it.
You know what I think Fender should have done, and you guys can comment on this in the group, but I'm going to put this out there. I think they should have done a thin line telly with a piezo bridge.
Yep.
A really, really good, solid piezo output. So like a split output, or you can do the TRS thing, like Ernie Ball's done in the past.
Well, they could do like, doesn't Rickenbacker have a choice thing? Like they went from where you could plug into two, but if you went TRS or something like that.
Yeah. And then here's the big thing. Has to have a neck pickup.
Yes. And that was the other thing. What the fuck is the point of
I
a
would much rather
Telecaster
have the neck pickup than the bridge pickup. If you told me I had to play a Telecaster and I had to pick between a neck and a bridge, I'm the guy that picked the neck.
Neck every time. Even this Squire that I've got hanging on the wall.
I love bridge pickups on tellies, but I think the neck pickup is a lot more versatile.
Right. If I had to choose one of them, one had to go, it would be the neck pickup that stayed, not the bridge pickup.
Yeah.
There is something to be said about the spank of a Tele bridge all day long, but the neck pickup is more versatile, like you said.
So
and if you're already playing the coffee houses, you're already doing all this other stuff, you're not playing bridge pickup type music.
If they did, so basically what I'm saying is, and this is what people are going to laugh about. This is what I want to come in the group. This has already been done before.
Right.
Go Dan has done this a lot.
They've been doing it since the 90s.
Yeah. Look at the multi-acts. They're all like this. They're piezos that are not meant to sound good unplugged. They actually do sound pretty decent unplugged.
Yep.
And some of them are nylon, some of them are steel string. They've done them with a neck pickup. I think that that's the jazz model. I played the jazz model, and to be honest with you, if I was a jazz player, like that's a guitar I'd play.
I'll tell you right now, I had a Godan XT something.
Yeah, I had an SDXT myself.
Yeah, and it had a piezo pickup, and I had like 500 more.
Yeah.
And that's it, XTSA.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, it's one of those guitars you're like, why did I get rid of that? And yeah, I know. And it's a great guitar. It's got for those who don't know, it's got a Les Paul style body, if I remember it correctly. But yeah, and the Godan, what is it, A series or something? A something. Anyway, they also are decent acoustic guitars. And then of course, like you said, you get the multi-act, which is multi-acoustic.
Yeah.
And so Godan's been sitting there. Does Godan go to Namm?
I'm pretty sure they have a presence there because they have multiple brands. So Godan also owns Siegel. And I believe there's a couple other ones too. I'm sure they have a presence there. They just announced the Summit Classic SG, which is a really, really good looking flat top Les Paul.
Right.
Godan, and then that's the thing. Godan all the guitars they make look really, really cool. And they honestly, like, they had their own body style, and then they kind of started making like kind of variations on the theme of the T&S style guitar. But their bodies really do look good. And like, honestly, I'm looking at this Summit Classic right here while we're doing this episode, and I'm like, hard to keep me away from one because they did it in the right color.
I'm telling you, they have some beautiful guitars. If you haven't checked out Godan, they're built. Are they still built in Canada? When I got mine,
they're all built in Canada still. And that's the other thing; they're not built in the third world either.
Right.
I mean,
it is Canada.
Okay, Canada. You know, United States, the sequel. Yeah, I mean, they participate in our sporting events. They're basically part of the United States.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're all joking aside. They're awesome guitars made by an excellent company. That's that
has not lost sight of what they've been trying to do for years.
And they've been doing it. They're not one of those companies. I'm like, what? Let's put our stuff overseas. Let's do.
Apparently, they're doing amps now too. By the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm looking at an LG XT. Wow,
yeah,
gorgeous.
Yeah. But I'm waxing philosophical here about the idea of the Acoustasonic. Ultimately, don't buy one. Send Fender a message, please.
Yeah.
I know they look cool. If you're gonna buy one used, for the love of God.
It's hard to get. It's hard to get a used one if we tell everybody not to buy them.
Yeah, but don't buy one new. Please don't give them your money on this thing. At least send Fender a message and be like, all right, look, you need to get back to doing what you do right. The same thing we had to do with Gibson, which is basically to stop buying the damn things to get the go out. And then,
they come around.
I know that's not really what happened. I mean, Gibson overcapitalized in other companies, and there's a whole thing. But so other things that I saw at NAMM that I liked.
I'll pipe in. So the thing that I liked, obviously the Paul Reed Smith SE version of Paul's guitar. So they had some playing of it and some demonstration of it. I liked it. I can see myself getting one when my 2 years of no gear is over, maybe even before that. But I thought it was beautiful. And if it truly plays the way that it played for the people that played it at NAMM, for me, I could see me getting into one of those. Some other stuff I saw I liked. Obviously, Paul's new SE line of the Les Paul style, the single cut style of the gold top that he built for Santana. That's an excellent guitar. He's using those, what do they call them? Something voiced pickups something inductive pickups. I can't remember. Anyway.
Yeah, I remember reading about them.
So they're the same pickups that are in the Paul's guitar SE. And the guy that was demonstrating from PRS, and this was amazing because this was the Paul Reed Smith guy. He said, "Here, I'm going to play this for you." And it was for Premier Guitar. Anybody that wants to check out the video. So he played the PRS version of Paul's guitar. Then he played Paul's guitar, and he even said, "This is a fourth of the price, and you're just paying for a prettier guitar." I mean, this was Paul Reed Smith's rep saying, "Yeah, you're just paying for a prettier guitar. You're paying for the artwork, the 10 top and everything else." So this was, pretty cool of them to come out and, like I've said a million times, their SE line is incredible. The other thing that I'm not exactly sure if I'm excited about it, but I am interested in it. And we had one of our group post about the Shure lunchbox amp that's coming with the new Pete Thorne. And I'm not going to run out and get it, but I am interested in it because the fact that they're putting this is cool that they're putting their pretty much just stuff together. Let's take a Pete Thorne amp, turn it into a 15-watt lunchbox, and then you know what? Let's shove our IR and reactive load up its ass.
Yeah, I mean, I have so I saw it and I said this is a great idea because look,
Yep.
A lot of amps are coming out now with direct out cable, right? I think any step towards getting to a more accurate sounding direct out is a good one. However, we've discussed this in private, and we have kind of a little thing going about how much this is actually going to cost. We have a little bit of wager going on.
We have a wager going.
And we'll leave that outside the show for the
anybody want to get in on it, let us know.
Yeah. And what's killing me about this thing is that look, the load box itself is $600, right? The IR load box. And then of course his amp is 3,000. That's the big 100-watt thing.
Yep.
I suspect this thing has to come in. I mean, it has to be inexpensive to be really, because otherwise you could buy whatever amp you want and get the IR load box and be totally happy.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are into load boxes. I want an attenuator that can also function as a load box with IR. If I can't get that, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I think that's what the and now you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what the Boss thing is supposed to be going towards.
The Boss thing is a little bit different. Okay. So yes, it is a reactive load box with an amplifier attached to it.
Yep.
Which means that you can run into it either with or without a speaker model. And then you can amplify the output into a cabinet or a PA or however you want to go, because it has a bunch of flexible options. That's essentially what. Right. And I think that's a huge leap forward. I think the problem is, though, that for those of us who use tube amps, we got to get those power tubes cooking.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to run them really hard in there to the reactive side of it and then amplify it. And I guess if the amplifier is neutral enough, it should work great. That's why people are drooling over this thing, because this solves so many problems for so many people. You want to use your 100-watt Marshall head in a live setting and in a bar gig, go for it. Plug it into that thing, plug that thing into a 1x12 cab and rip.
That's right.
Granted,
turn that thing diamond.
This brings me to my next product that I really, really like. Marshall has unveiled the series. This is something they should have done 10 years ago.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but 20-watt plexi? What? 20 watt JCM 800. That was the one we were talking about, Jim, that was available on Sweetwater the day we were talking about it. Because you were like, yeah, they're going to be like $2,000. Like, no way, dude.
Nope.
$1,500.
$1,500. I was amazed.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Because they couldn't do it
because they're made in England. And
Yep.
first thing I thought was, that price tag's going to be huge. They brought it back to build.
There's another tiny English-made amp from them that I'm not going to talk about because, frankly, I want another one. So, and I want them while you could still get them.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that you can get a little 20 watt JCM 800 now.
Oh my God.
Freaking genius. And this is what, so Friedman has made a reputation out of making these ostentatious Marshall upgrades that you can buy under the Friedman label.
Yep.
I say Marshall upgrades because that's basically what they are. He's taken a Marshall circuit and he's twisted it and he's done some things to it. And he's obviously good at it. People were coming to him to get their Marshalls modded for years. But why would you do that when you could buy a Marshall for cheaper that has all the same upgrades?
Exactly.
That's what the new DSL series is. And so when they unveiled that in the Origin at the same time, they revoiced the DSLs, which now sound freaking killer. And then because I wasn't a huge fan of them before. I owned one and it was okay, but it wasn't,
I know now.
I plugged in the one the other day and I was like, damn, dude, like this is a hard sell because this is like $600 for a combo. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But now they're coming out with the Studio series, and I think this is going to be out of the park for them. If you're in the lineup for like a Mesa Boogie Mark 5, 25 or the 35, I mean, you could now just like turn your head and go look at Marshall again too. So this is a big deal.
It is.
And then to have those three amplifiers available. So they have the 800, Plexi, and then there was something else. I want to say it was it's the Silver Jubilee.
Yes, that's it.
Which they were already basically doing.
And honestly, that's the one that's got my attention.
The Jubilee's okay. To be honest with you, Jim, I'm not. I mean, I know some people. Pat from Good Time, his live rig was built around two Jubilees and original Jubilees. He bought them when you couldn't give those things away. And I'm not a fan of that sound. Like, to me, Marshalls are JCM 800 and earlier. I don't really like a whole lot of what they've done since the JCM 800. I do like the 900s. And I think it's for certain sounds I like the 900s. I don't think, like, if I'm playing a classic rock gig, I'm not going to bring out the JCM 900. If I'm playing a metal gig, like JCM 900 with a tube screamer out front,
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, the Jubilee is it's got a lot of top end presence. It's a little brittle sounding to me. You have to have the right cab, and that's a big part of it. So these are great. I think they're going to sell a lot of these, and I think it's going to be a big boon for the company because Marshall in the last couple of years have been getting beat up. I mean, there's a lot of Marshall clones out there that are pretty good for not a lot of money. And I went to go look. I was going to buy a Plexi. That was my goal at GearFest this year, was to buy a Marshall Plexi. And I went and I looked, and I was like, man, they don't make anything Plexi oriented for under $3,000. Like the KT, or not the KT66 loaded. The GTM 45 is like 2,700. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. I don't care if it's made in England. It's not the same amp because they have had to make some changes due to Rojas and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And export standards and everything. But along that line, so we've been talking about Marshalls. The other thing I saw was that apparently Jimmy Page has got an amp coming out. And I have to talk about this because this is almost as big a clusterfuck disaster as the
as the Telecaster.
Yeah. So Jimmy Page played a lot of Supro combos on a lot of the records, like Good Times, Bad Times is his Telecaster through Supro, and the solo on Stairway to Heaven is, I believe, a Telecaster through the Supro amp. And he mic'd him up in a funny way, and he used he had the speaker backable replaced. And my understanding is the circuit itself had been modified slightly. A couple of years ago, the guys that run Supro guitars, which is actually Pigtronics, is the same company, got their hands on the famous modified Supro that was in the hands of the Experience Music Project. I think that's the story. They got their hands on it and they cloned it. They took copious notes on the circuit board, on the circuit itself, on the speaker. They did some actual measurements of the speaker and stuff, and they decided they were going to make a production speaker and a production amp that matched those specs as closely as they could, within reason to provide an adequate, a value for the people who are going to buy them. Right. So that gave the Supro Black Magic. I have played the Supro Black Magic. It is Black Magic. It is literally the same sound that you're going to hear on Good Times, Bad Times. It is not an amp that you should buy if you live in a condo. You're going to have to turn it up. It's a master volume amp, and that's just all there is to it.
Right.
So Jimmy Page comes out. He's got the new Telecaster coming out from Fender, the custom shop one. I think they're showing that guitar off again. I don't think they've even come out yet. And I assumed when I saw the ad for the amp, this would be a custom shop amp to go with the guitar.
Yep.
You buy the guitar and the amp, and for $20,000 you could have the Jimmy Page rig as accurately as they can make it. Here's where the plot thickens, right? So he's partnered with some small builder, and they're only going to make 50 of these things.
Oh.
So Jimmy Page has now come out and said, no, the Supro version is not accurate because he's not being paid for it, right?
Right.
So this is the real deal right here. This is the one I used, and they're going to build it, and they're going to make 50 of them. So how much of that do you think he's pocketing?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Page, I've read several biographies from various people that were involved with Led Zeppelin, and everyone said Page is a cheapskate. So if he could make $100,000 selling 50 amplifiers, he'll do it. Right. And I think that's what's going on here is like they're going to be $10,000 and he's going to take 5,000 of it, and they get to pocket the rest. And the amp really only costs like $300 to make, because I mean, literally, it was like any other Supro circuit. I'm sure it's dead simple inside. Yep. So for me, I'm just looking at this and go, what a fucking cash grab! Like this guy is. I mean, I like Jimmy Page. I love his style of music, but wow, dude, really? Like, just let Supro do it and get it over with. Like, just back out of it. Don't worry about it. Or how about you do something really cool and you take some of your modified Marshalls, maybe your Orange, and then you go and you get those cloned. Yeah. And then have like Marshall do it and make some real money.
Exactly.
Because those are the amps that.
And that would sell.
Right.
Yeah.
But he, it's not Jimmy's amps. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, Jimmy Page's sound comes from the player himself. I saw him, he did the Page and Plant DVD. Best tone I've ever heard him have. And he's playing like through Pro Reverbs, Fender Pro Reverbs, and an AC30. And I just sat there, shook my head, and I go, how the fuck does that sound come out of a Pro Reverb and an AC30?
Because again, like you said, it's the person.
In his case, it really is the person. I mean, I think that guy could make a tin can sound pretty good if you give him the right microphone.
Yeah, exactly. So. And that was the beauty of what he did. I mean, it wasn't just his thing. But today is about Namm. So, again, I had forgotten about those. It was somebody that was saying, "Is the Lunchbox amp phase over?" I don't think so. I think we're only I think we're just starting to ride that wave towards a crest.
Honestly, I don't think that's ever going to go away, because I think guitar diminishes as the main instrument on stage, and the stages get quieter with better sound production. Yep. The natural inclination is to get away from these super high powered amps.
That's right. You're going away from floor monitors. You're going into in-ears. You're going away from all the noise. And again, the 20-watt amp, 15 to 20-watt amp, I think is alive and well and will be for a long, long time.
So Joyo is Moore.
Yeah.
It's the same company.
Yes, Moore and Joyo, yeah.
Moore/Joyo brought out a line of amps, I think last year.
Yep.
And they were all like solid state, small, tiny combo type deals. Hotone as well.
So, they're not. I'm going to say this about them. They are, because I got to play through a couple. The Bantam.
The Bantam.
Yep. And so I played through their quote unquote Marshall, and I played through their quote unquote Fender. It was supposed to be like a DeVille type thing.
I've heard a lot of people don't like them.
But. I'm going to say this. So I plugged into both, and for what they are, because it's $150.
Yeah, it's a practice amp. That's
It's
what it is.
Yeah, it's a practice amp, but it's also something you can throw in a gig bag. And if your amp goes down that night, you can plug that in. It has effects send and return. It has everything on it.
Yeah.
Boom, you're up and running for $150. No, would I play through it every single night on a gig? Hell no. But would I love to depend on one for when those things happen? Heck yeah. For that kind of money, that's the cost of a couple of tube replacements.
I'm really interested in Moore. The reason I'm talking about Moore, they brought out the GE300.
Yep.
Okay. Which is obviously their stab at the GT series from Boss.
Yes.
So I'm really interested in this thing. I'd love to get my hands on one and check one out. 108 amp models, 160 some odd effects. I think it was like 30 plus cab sim. I believe it also had IR modeling, so you can load your own IRs.
Yep.
This thing, it was super cheap.
Now, speaking of super cheap, which obviously they do very well, let's go to the other end of that spectrum. So we talked about the fact that Shure didn't give us any indication of how much something's going to cost. We talked about Boss didn't give us any indication of how much something was going to cost. Gibson didn't have a whole lot of pricing information. Now, I'm gonna talk about somebody, the new Ibanez Tube Screamer. It's like $400, $300 something dollars. Are you kidding me?
Ibanez does one thing really, really well. They do two things.
Overcharge for things. No,
they make a killer amp. That TSA thing for the price it is really, really good.
You're talking about that little? It's like white or green or something.
Yeah. The TSA. It looks like a little TV cabinet from the
50s. Yeah.
That thing smokes. Sounds good.
Yeah, and it's cheap.
Yeah, and that's really good. And they make great guitars. Now they obviously make tube screamers, but there's like so many damn tube screamers on the market now anymore. I don't know how they're making money doing it, frankly. I can go get a Boss SD1 or whatever, the Super Overdrive. The Super Overdrive is only like $70. Tube Screamer's like $70.
$449.
Well, we're getting this is where we're going with it. All right. So then they start making these high end ones, like the TS808 hand wired, 250, and then they did the new tube one, and now they got this guy, and it's like it doesn't make any sense.
The Overdrive Pro
time ago.
TSV 808 Vemuran. I don't know. It ends with an M. So those who think I'm saying on, it's wrong. It's Vemuram. I don't know.
So
limited edition overdrive pedal with tone, drive, and level knobs. Wow, I've never seen a tube screamer with those on it. Trim pots and selectrical, asymmetrical, and symmetrical clipping.
All right. I'm not a big fan of the Tube Screamer. I have found one use for the Tube Screamer. Literally one use.
To boost
you can
your
put a tube Screamer in front of a heavy gain amp, cut your bass, boost your mids.
Boost your mids.
Actually roll off your treble too.
Yep.
And it works extremely good for that. For anything else, throw it in the garbage. I honestly cannot stand them for anything else. I'm one of those guys. Yep. I think this guy, the Boss Angry Driver, which I'm holding in my hand right now, is a much better value than any of the high-end tube screamers that are available.
And what does the Angry Driver go for?
$200 flat.
Yeah.
You get a Blues Driver, which is a lot more flat-sounding overdrive, which gives you, in my opinion, a lot more versatility with it.
Yep.
Because it'll work well in front of a Fender, or it'll work well in front of a and then it also has the JHS Angry Driver circuit, or the Angry Charlie circuit in it, and that alone makes it worth the price of it. But to back up, I mean, don't think Tube Screamer. So Tube Screamers had a big thing because of Stevie Ray Vaughan, right? He used 2 of them in his rig, a number of different configurations. He used every single variation of Tube Screamer that existed when he was live. And the funny part about it is that it has got this mythological status with certain guitar players, like the guys that would buy the number one when Fender did that thing would buy the $450 Tube Screamer. That's what that is. And but when I said it, I meant what I said, which is they missed the boat. Of all the guitar players that I grew up listening to, thinking, wow, that guy is like really the sharpest guitar player I've ever heard. Go back and like listen to Stevie Ray. Look, he's an excellent player. I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but I'm just saying, like, the thing that made everybody so in love with him has kind of moved on. Like, I don't really hear a lot of people talking about him. I'm not saying he's any better or worse than he was. I'm just saying that like those people have found other guitar players to latch on to.
Well, John Mayer, people hate him.
I'm just going to say it.
In a lot of communities, John Mayer has become kind of the today for younger folks, today's Stevie Ray Vaughan. And even for folks,
I think a lot of the Stevie Ray Vaughan players are looking at John Mayer right now and going, that's the torchbearer.
I mean, that guy, you can poo-poo him all you want. Just remember, he's the one that the Grateful Dead chose to tour with. He's the one that, carried the torch with Double Trouble. He's the one that's been doing this stuff. And you can make fun of the faces he makes. You can do anything you want.
He's no longer touring at Double Trouble.
No. He was, though.
And he was chosen for Grateful Dead because he would bring his own fans to the show. That's
what I'm sure. I'm just saying that,
I just don't give him. I'm not going to give him any credibility because, and this is why, Jim, I can't give him credibility because he's not getting these things because he's musically doing anything that I want to hear or that anybody else I know who really understands like quality music they're not looking at him and going, "Wow, that's wonderful. Your body is a wonderland. What a track, man."
I don't think anybody thinks.
One for the ages.
I don't think anybody thinks your body is a wonderland, is it? But you listen to some of this blues stuff, and even that, dude. I'm not a blues aficionado or fan, for that matter. So I'm not a John Mayer fan. Don't.
I want you to take this with, and take this the way. Don't take it personally. John Mayer's in your wheelhouse. He's a pop guitar player. Like, that's your thing. And I could totally see you being like, okay, yeah, I get it. He's not, look, your typical blues guy that's actually really immersed in the blues and knows what the blues is not looking at John Mayer and going, wow, he's the next Albert King. That's just not happening. But the kids that are growing up are. And
I will, just like the Greta Van Fleet and the things that people say about him, at least he's carrying a torch. And whether we
I get it. I mean, like, I agree with you there. I just don't think I was disagreeing with your statement that him being in the Grateful Dead had something to do with his. No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think a guy like Bob Weir gives a rat's ass or gave a rat's ass.
Actually, I do, and I'll say why, because they were all basically bankrupt, and all said, we're going to do this final reunion tour, and we're going to hire him to go out on the road with us so we can make money, and then we made money. Wait a minute, now I remember what that's like. Hey, let's do the Grateful Dead band or whatever they're calling it now, and I'm just saying, like, it was a very. If they don't really care about making money, I would be really surprised that they picked John Mayer, because there were a lot of other guitar players that would have lined up that would have been just as good, if not better, to do that job. So I think they did it to put butts in seats.
I think that's part of it. That has to be a decision part of it. If you're gonna go out on the road, why would you not want to put butts in seats, right? Yeah. I mean, we all want to do that. The other side of it is that he had to have a certain level of talent.
Yeah, but I mean, like I just said, Jim, there's a lot of guys that can play the stuff that Garcia was playing. That's why I'm like,
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see it all the time. I literally can't stand the Grateful. I mean, that is music that if you put it on, I'm leaving.
Like
I'm
Warren
out of-
Hayes would have been perfect for that band, for example.
Oh yeah, but Warren Hayes, I don't know if is he really doing anything anymore. I mean,
Government Mule.
well,
Still
outside
solid
of
record.
that's what I mean. Outside of Government Mule, because he was doing Allman Brothers. For the
Well, he's
longest
not
time.
doing Allman Brothers because they disbanded that band.
Yeah, I know. That's
He
what I'm
was in it
saying.
till the end. I mean,
Yeah, he was right up to the end. But has he been working with anybody else outside of
no,
Government Mule?
well, he's actually when he went back to Government Mule, he basically said, nah, "I'm not gonna," because he made his money, dude.
Yeah,
Like that's basically it. He's not ostentatious like a lot of these guys where they have to have their Ferraris and stuff. So, like, I don't need to make a lot of money. So I backed out of it. But he would not have been the draw for them, and that's why he was probably not even on their radar. And actually, I was kind of surprised. I'll be honest with you, I was just as shocked as everybody else. They're like, "Oh, John Mayer's going to tour with Grateful Dead," because I'm like, that doesn't sound like that great a match. But I did know that John Mayer was a Berkeley grad, so clearly he has the chops for it.
right.
And I'm not saying that Mayer's a bad player. Like, no, I mean, he graduated Berkeley. I actually think my frustration with him is that musically he hasn't done anything. Like with all the talent and ability that's there, he's done nothing. So,
Well, then there's that. I mean, he is. He has a bit of.
how many other Berkeley grads that we talk about? I mean, let's stop, and I can name a couple. Steve Weiser, Berkeley grad. John Petrucci dropped out of Berkeley.
Yep.
That whole band, all of Dream Theater was at Berkeley. The original guys that were anyway.
Yep.
And I mean, dozens of others.
Scott Henderson.
Yeah, I think so.
Wasn't he there, or Music and Guitar Institute?
I mean,
one of those two.
I'm sure there's a place where you can see Berkeley alumni.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but most of the guys that went to Berkeley, like
I played with a guy that was a Berkeley grad.
yeah, I'll bet you he was one.
He's the one that I told
surprising you.
Yeah, he had the Klon. He was the one that had the Klon and everything else. He still has. There's still companies that give him stuff.
Yeah.
They hey, do you want this? We want you to try out our pedal.
The reason why
he's a freaking Oracle developer now, and he still sells stuff. That's how out of touch some of these salespeople are. By the way, people.
Yeah, but my point is, like, people who go to Berkeley, they're serious about making art most of the time.
Yep.
And it just feels like Mayer thinks he's making art, but I don't think he really knows what that means. And so I think, yeah, he's made some good records. I mean, like, I can't deny things like "Who do you think you were" and stuff like that, or "Who do you think I was?" Or
yeah,
it's a good song, but I just feel like I'd do the same way with Clapton. Clapton did a couple of really good records, but by the time Cream ended, he was done. Like, he was just going to rehash the blues for the rest of his career, and that's what he did. And there's a couple of other like little things he did in there, but
yeah, you remember the album? What was it? Riding with the King or something when he was
with Albert King or whatever.
I think it was BB, but yeah, it was
BB.
like
right.
It was like
yeah, and you know what? That's the one I hear people covering the most. They want to play Key to the Highway off that and shit. And I'm like, oh god. I just roll my eyes. I'm like,
for me,
why? And you got all that stuff from Cream and like even the album that had Layla and stuff on it. And I just go, why would you want to play that?
Yeah. I know, right? And the acoustic version of Layla. Oh, please kill me now.
When I hear that on the radio, I'm like, why would you ever play that version when the original version is clearly much, much better?
Like this much better.
Yeah.
That thing
not
is
every
way
song
down here in the sub-flooring
acoustic song,
I did not enjoy that. But anyway, so that obviously for me, Paul Reed Smith was a huge thing for me. But it was only a couple of things. I mean, they pretty much said, "Here's some new colors." The John Mayer Silver Sky. Here's some colors. That's the thing I don't get. So we're gonna go to Namm and we're gonna show you the same fucking shit in a new color. And it's like, really? That's that. So that's what you've got for me. I'm not saying that that's all Paul Reed Smith did, but that was what Gibson was doing for years. Here's the same old shit with new colors in it. And, a lot of companies do that. I mean, yeah, colors do sell stuff. I mean, obviously everybody has this, like love for certain shades of certain colors, reds, blues, greens, they tend to sell. Greens don't sell as well as the other ones. But anyway, that's an interesting topic all on its own. But it just seems to me that I still think a lot of companies are out of touch. I mean, if you're Ibanez, right, and you're going to walk in, you're going to go, you know what, we're doing this. We talked about how we both believe and agree that that Strauss's guitar, the Jiva, is overpriced, and the announcements were, oh, it's going to be this much, and it wound up being that much, which was a lot more money. We see this Tube Screamer come out, and it's like, you mean this is your flagship pedal, a pedal that costs as much
product right now
as a guitar, right? I mean, you've got to be shitting me. You are out of touch. Wampler came out with something. So Wampler came out with he has a multi pedal.
I haven't even seen that covered anywhere.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. So for Brian Wampler to come out with something that is a digital pedal that you program, apparently, I can't find anything outside of some comments from some YouTubers about what kind of things did you find exciting. Oh yeah, Wampler's got this pedal where, it's a multi-type effect. And I'm like, so.
Well, so this is apparently the year of the cheap multi-effect processor anyway. Because here's Photon also has the Ampero, which is obviously based on the mover.
Yep.
And it's like a smaller version thing. And they all have like colors on. I haven't seen the price revealed on the Jimmy Page Telecaster, obviously.
Yeah, they still haven't revealed anything on that.
You know what I didn't like?
And the pictures didn't turn me on. I'll just say that. Maybe it was better in person.
I'm going to catch hell for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know what I didn't like? The fucking stupid striped shark from EVH. Fender and Eddie Van Halen's partnership. Like, that's the one thing that I looked at. I was like, really? Like, this is what you give us? I think that the EVH could use, like, the Wolfgang could use a little bit of an update. It's been a couple of years. They're doing some exotic models, I guess. Seeing a guitar with the springs attached and shit, like the Charvel thing play, that star looking. I mean, it's fine. It is an iconic guitar, I guess. It's not the guitar I think of when I think of Van Halen. They've been producing that one for a number of years now. That's the Strat with the tape paint job. But I don't know. I just think, like, we didn't need that. That was something that they decided to build.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a market for it. Maybe there's still a bunch of, guys buying the Eddie Van Halen stuff. I just think, like, that time kind of passed too. A lot of those guys were in their 50s when I was starting to play guitar. So
yeah,
I'm sure they're still buying. I just don't know how much they're performing with that stuff. The one thing I hated, Jim, that I saw that came out, this is something that they could have absolutely just fucking not done at all. This was MXR.
Yeah.
They did that fucking stupid Green Day Billy Joe Armstrong.
Oh my God, yeah. They had a Billy Joe.
Well, because that's the guitar tone that everyone wants.
Yeah, is Billy Joe Armstrong.
God.
I hate to say it. He is as much as I hate to admit, because listening to younger people talk about him, and I say younger even than you, I'm like, why? Actually, some people in your age range.
Well, I was going to say this, Jim. I grew up, I had Green Day records. I'm not going to lie. I had...
I've never owned one.
The one, Insomnia.
Dookie?
I had Dookie. Not my favorite record from them. A lot of people think it's their crowning achievement. I actually had their first two records. Those are the ones that really, really did it for me. And that was, like, I was a young kid, and I thought, that was real punk music at the time. I was like, 10 years old, 9, 10 years old. And I wore out the first record, the CD, and then I realized like later on, their music is just annoying, all hooky, and I was like, I can't do this. I actually like Blink-182 more than I like Green Day, which a lot of people would be like, "Oh my god, what's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
But at least
they're actually musically pretty interesting if you really listen to their stuff. But
I don't know about all that either. But
I'm talking about on the level of pop punk.
Sure,
I'm not talking about the fact.
Sure, I mean, I think at least they had kind of the comedy element to them, whereas Green Day made that American Idiot record, which was like all serious and really just did not match the tone of what they're trying to achieve. I think that's honestly, I'll probably catch hell from this from some of the people I know, but that record is absolute shit. I do not know why it ended up on every critic's 10 best list. I just don't know.
Which one's that?
The American Idiot.
Oh yeah, American Idiot. Oh my god, yeah.
I mean, I the last record I bought from them was Nimrod, and I didn't like it. There's a couple songs on there. That was the one with the acoustic ballad on it, and I picked up on that before it became a radio single. And then when it became a radio signal, I was just like, "This is terrible." And by that time, I was probably no, it was before I was in high school. But yeah, no, and it seems like the weird part is because so at that point, Billy Joe is already like 50 years old or 40 years old at this point, like mid 40s. And then all of a sudden, like all these young kids latched onto the American Idiot record. And I'm just looking there, I'm going, you guys do know how old that dude is, right? Like, it's like the 10-year-old kid that's into the Rolling Stones. And you just kind of like shake your head. Yep. You're like, dude, those guys are 60 years older than you. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah.
You don't know shit about what they sing about, like.
So the Dookie pedal.
You're gonna step on some Dookie? I mean, come on, really?
Yeah,
this is a cheesy joke.
It's $190. I mean,
really? It's that expensive?
That's what I'm saying. So here's MXR, and they're putting out this pedal that just it's got a blend knob, a gain knob, a tone knob. Here's a good question for people listening. Have we seen enough frigging gain pedals? Seriously, have we not seen enough overdrive pedals? Can you not, from the overdrive pedals that already exist, get the tone that you want? I mean, do we really need yet another overdrive pedal? And in this case,
I can't. But we'll go there in a second.
The Dookie, what is the Dookie going to do for you other than make your feet stink? The two modded amplifiers in a single pedal. So it's the real magic lies in the blend knob. So there you go, people. It's a magical blend knob, which means that it's got unicorn shit in it.
Well, it has to. Look at the art on it.
That allows you to blend a clean and dirty signal together. We've seen that already with Wampler, by the way, because that's something that I was showing with the Paisley Deluxe. But anyway, and I'm sure the Paisley did it in some way, but I do know the Paisley Deluxe because I have it. But anyway, allows you to drive a killer overdrive sound that gives you a scoop function, because God knows there's no pedal out there that allows you to scoop your mids except this one.
Why would you need it?
The guitarists here at Sweetwater have yearned for a pedal like this. This is what funny. The guitarists here at Sweetwater have yearned for a pedal like this for a long time.
That sounds like some marketing bullshit.
Billy Joe's tone is hard to nail. Are you fucking kidding me? A cheap freaking P90
it's like
Les Paul
into a JCM 900 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it's not. That's like saying I've never been able to nail Angus Young sound. Well, have you not plugged your guitar directly into the fucking amp? Try that. Try
SG into a Marshall.
Put an SG into a Marshall. Walk as far away from it as you can and turn it all the way up, because that's what's good. That's what you're doing. He dimes those amps, and so anyway, and now it's here. It replicates Billy Joel. Here's what really bothers me about stuff like this. We all know Billy Joel was like, oh yeah, I need some money. Go ahead and put my name on it. Replicates Billy Joe Armstrong's tone on Green Day's Dookie. Did he have one guitar tone? And so this pedal is going to give it to you. And is that the only thing you ever want? The only thing I've ever wanted in my entire life was to sound just like Billy Joe Armstrong on, I don't know, give me a song from Dookie.
Who gives a fuck?
American Idiot. I don't know.
Who gives a fuck at this point?
Dial in your, really? And it's going to be limited to 3,000 of them. 3,000.
All right. So let's I want to talk. We talked
anything else interesting from
him? No, we're done. But we talked about there being too many damn drive pedals, too many damn distortion pedals, too many damn pedals in general. I agree to a point. Like we really only have like a handful of actual like unique pedal designs that the vast majority of it's all just like, let's change a component here and there. I want a circuit designed, not like a modded circuit, but a circuit designed from the ground up where I can get the flexibility that I get out of a tube or out of a out of a fuzz phase by rolling my volume knob back, but I don't want it to be a fuzz. I want it to be a distortion.
Right.
Now, there are some pedals out there that can get pretty close. The Ibanez / Maxon SD9 sonic distortion can do it. I just don't think there's enough like tonal guts to it. If you could make this guy, which is the Angry Driver, do it, perfect. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, I think there are both too many drive pedals and not enough. We don't have enough design. We have a lot of the same drive pedals and distortion pedals being made over and over and over ad infinitum.
Yep.
Let's do some unique stuff. Let's do some new stuff. Don't throw an octave on it. Like, start designing circuits from the ground up. Go to Mauser and order yourself some op amps and get some shit that people aren't using and start building some new circuits. Look to solve the problems that people have right now. Like,
yeah,
that's what gets me is that clearly low end and how a distortion that handles proper low end is a big part of a lot of modern players. And I just don't see people taking a different approach to it. Like, it's like, oh, well, we'll just cut bass on our circuit so it'll work better doing that.
Right.
I don't know.
We're just going to scoop the mids.
Yeah.
Scoop the mids. That does it. You know what pedal they need? The ice cream scoop. That's what they should just come out with, the ice cream scoop, and that's going to be the scoop the mids. And what they need is then on the other side of it, you put a tube screamer. So what you do is you scoop the mids, and then you have the tubes. This is what they should do. This is a cool pedal. This would be a cool pedal. So the ice cream scoop would scoop the mids and then feed it to the tube screamer, which then would put them back. And then you could have it go in the opposite direction. The tube screamer would throw a bunch of mids into the ice cream scoop, and the ice cream scoop would see how much it could scoop out. Wouldn't that be cool? Then you could blend the knobs. We gotta have blend function, because blend is gonna make it that much better. And you could blend between the two. Or here's what you could do: instead of having
Jim, shut the fuck up.
Instead of having this shit, just put a fucking mid control on your damn.
We can put some of this shit in there, or we can put some of that shit, or we'll put some of this shit that's over here.
He doesn't see how
it matter.
We're playing with our knobs.
His nipples right here is what he's doing.
Now, I'm not, but okay. So I do want to get back to Wampler's thing. So Wampler's thing is called the Terraform. Yeah, Terraform. And what it's got, listen to this: 11 custom designed effects. Now, this is a pedal.
Oh no, I did see that. I did see that. And you know what? So that's not the pedal that's coming out. He's actually showing it at Namm and asking people for feedback on what modes the final product should have.
Right. That's what I was about to say. So right now, 11 custom designed effects, which are slow gear style, U-vibe, phaser, through zero flanger, subtractive flanger, additive flanger, chorus, 3-voice chorus, dimension style chorus, tremolo and harmonic tremolo. Consistently tweaking it right now. These is we want to make sure they're perfect. So as of the time we're writing, this is how it looks. It probably will change. We're currently working on a few things that may replace one or two of the effects. Only time will tell. So what you've got is a pretty cool pedal. It's going to do some cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's the Wampler version of the Keeley mod workstation.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's fine. Like, I don't think that's the thing. Like, I don't think we have enough mod pedals.
No.
I think there's some other areas of modulation that we could probably explore.
Well, here's the thing. There's always like, do you want a flanger or do you want a chorus? Or where this, it's like, you know what? You're probably not going to use a flanger with a chorus, but you got them stacked. You got them in there.
Yeah, and I think there's still some stuff that they don't really do very good in an analog way. I've heard only a couple, and the mini vent is my favorite. Pedals that simulate a rotating speaker, and then I've only heard like a couple of really good pedals that can do like the scanner vibrato out of a Leslie kind of sound. The Warp Vinyl is one of them that can do it, and that's part of the reason why I still have one laying around, because I think it's one of the coolest sounds. Not something I use all the time, but I think we got a lot of room to grow. I don't think anybody does a really good Univibe. I've had several Univibe pedals. You saw the pictures I posted of old boards. I had the Deja Vibe on there for a while. I had the Viscous Vibe. I think the Helix actually has a vibe in it. I prefer it to the Viscous Vibe.
Yeah.
I've tried dozens of others, and I've never found one. So the problem is the vintage ones, the ones that are just like the vintage Univibe, are great, but they have all of the problems vintage, just noise and like pick up radio frequencies and all kinds of crazy shit like that. And then the ones that are more modern don't sound good. So it's almost like somebody's got to crack the code there and come up with a way to make an old Unified that sounds good. The other thing I want to see is the Synthy Hi-Fi. Somebody has got to emulate some of those sounds. We talked about that pedal a while back. That was a pedal that was used by a lot of guys, specifically David Gilmour, the guys in Genesis, so Steve Hackett, and all that. And it's got some very unique sounds in it.
Mike Rutherford.
I think he uses as well. It has some very unique sounds in it. Could do a lot of weird shit.
Yep.
I'd love it if somebody would like make a similar pedal. If Wampler made like a Synthy Hi-Fi kind of, maybe not the whole thing, because we've seen that. I showed you the thing. It looks like a mixing console, but like do a couple of the sounds out of it in a pedal. I mean, I would probably buy one.
Yeah.
That's the kinds of things that I'm like, yeah, dude, like that's the kind of shit we need because it's innovative. It doesn't sound like anything else. I can't pick a single effect that thing does and I can get through something else.
Right.
So
I think that's that's a I think, I mean, we're always seeing new overdrive pedals. We're always seeing new gain pedals. We're
that's
always
what
seeing
sells though. How many when you see these like when you go on like pedal boards, you're not on pedal boards Doom, are you? Probably not. When you go on pedal boards Doom, I actually love that thing because you get to see all these people's different rigs, and I actually like seeing how other people approach the same problems. But when I see the pedal boards of Doom and I see these guys have like 7 fuzz pedals, 3 overdrives, and like 2 distortions, you're going,
honestly,
you have 9 pedals on your board and like 7 of them are dirt. Like what the fuck?
Honestly, now here's where I'm gonna kind of make myself look stupid, but I can see a few. Even I have 3, and effectively I have 4 because I have a fuzz pedal. I have the Paisley Deluxe, which actually is 2, and then I have the BD, the Blues Driver, right? That's Wampler modded. So I have those for different voices. And so I can understand if somebody said to me, you know what, just like you would, and I'm sure you would because you're more of a fuzz aficionado than I am. You would say to me, you know what, Jim, I use this fuzz for these things. I got this fuzz for these things. I got this.
Yeah. Fuzz. And I don't know whether it's because I have a proximity to fuzz or not, but I understand completely what you're saying. And you're right. I do see more distinction between them, but I also feel like fuzz is one of the few like dirt circuits, dirt types. This is really more of a spectrum anyway. But once you get into that end of the spectrum, like there is a plethora of different sounds on tap based on the component selection and all that. So that I kind of see. I still think there's room to grow there. And I think that room to grow is actually in the opposite direction of where people are looking.
Right, which is everybody's trying to go back.
Those stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I want more usable stuff.
Right.
Like, I want you to go in the other direction and try to make fuzzes that are more like overdrives, or try to make fuzzes that are more controllable and contained, but can still give me some of those awkward
Right.
sounds.
But everybody wants to go in that other direction. I need to make a fuzz pedal that was just like this.
It's wild and crazy, or it's a muff.
And it's already being done.
Everybody
right.
makes
and really,
a muff with like 3 different styles. They all do.
It's a muff or it's a fuzz face. I mean, that's pretty much what you got, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, from major manufacturers, yes. Yeah. Obviously, the smaller guys, you get into people like Sean Wright and his company and like that. They're making some kind of like different stuff.
Correct.
And you'll find like there's obviously your somebody was asking for tone bender. Like there's some different pedals out there too that get cloned a lot, but the vast majority of what you're going to see is either a muff or a fuzz.
Right. A clone. Yeah. And for overdrives, it's unfortunate, but you've got a lot of clones there. Obviously, blues drivers,
tube screamers.
Yep.
Some DoD 250 stuff, but not a whole lot. Nope. And then I'm trying to think. There's another circuit that
Klon.
Oh, the Klon. The Klon is but that's the du jour right now. 5 years, I don't think you'll see as many Klon.
No. I think we've seen the end of the clone bubble, and it's starting.
The original Klons are still going to go for like $2,000.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's not going to change.
Well, it's because they're rare, not because. I honestly, I don't know if it's because they're that much better than some of the clones. I've seen some of these clones are pretty impressive. You know what I mean?
The one Good Time Music does is great.
Yeah.
And the Archer Icon is pretty good too.
Yeah, I was going to say the Archer Icon, and what is Wampler's got? What is it? Is it the Tumnus?
The Tumnus. The reason why the Tumnus is popular is because it was like the first clone stuck into a finger size enclosure, but it sounds pretty damn good. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of different things out there,
So if you're a designer and you have a different dirt pedal, something that's really different, like totally unique circuit that you came up with, maybe you stole an idea from somewhere. Like if you, I think there's a fine line between like, oh, this is an emulation of a circuit, and this is a circuit that's been completely gutted and redesigned. So if you took the like the buffer out of a Boss pedal, and then you took let's say you take the buffer out of a Boss pedal and then take a tube screamer and then you make it clip like asymmetrical clipping,
yep.
You get an SD1. That's a pretty different pedal in my opinion. I know a lot of people are like, well, it sounds like a tube screamer. I don't think you get big a mid bump in that. And maybe there's some differences in the tone stack there too, but the whole point is that you can have a pedal like that where it is derivative, but it's different.
Exactly.
Evolution. I don't think we see a lot of evolution. I think we see a lot more cloning with like minor component changes.
And honestly, I kind of can't blame a lot of these creators, because what's the first thing people do when they see one of their favorite, I don't care if it's a favorite movie, favorite guitar, everything. Why do they have to change it? You ruined it for me.
Hey, for our fans of the show, I want to point something out that they probably knew, but if they didn't know, it's interesting to think about. So the Rat,
the Proco Rat,
the Proco Rat,
yep.
And I think it was based off another pedal. The Proco Rat begat the Boss HM2,
yep.
the heavy metal, or the heavy metal distortion that like shaped the sound of metal.
Yep.
And that pedal begat. So, and the Rat is also related to the Big Sonic Expandora.
Yep.
But the Rat pedal itself, I believe, bears a lot of similarities to a Big Muff, where they changed the tone circuit out for a filter. And then the Big Muff goes back to the tone benders, the 3 transistor tone benders. So if you really look at like the lineage of how that pedal evolved, I mean, those are some really different fucking sounds. Tone bender does not sound like a muff. A muff does not sound like a Rat.
Not
a Rat does not sound like a Big Sonic Expandor at all.
Nope.
And so if you look at a pedal like that, that is a clear evolution.
Yep.
So that's what I'm getting at. We need more evolution and less rehashing.
Well, another evolution is Marshall came from Fender.
Yeah.
Marshall was in the beginning, whether people know this or not, was initially a Fender clone, and then what was Mesa was were they Fender or Marshall cloned?
Mesas were a Fender clone, and they weren't a clone. So Mesas were
well, not really. Yeah,
they were a joke. Is what they were.
Yeah,
Took a Princeton, put a big ass transformer in it, bigger tubes. It took a Princeton and basically made it like a 75-watt monster with a 12-inch speaker in it.
Yep.
It was Country Joe and the Fishes amp, I think, is what they fucked up, and they did that on. And then, as the legend has it, Carlos Santana walked into the store and played it, and then they had to build it. So,
yep.
But that's basically what that was, and it's the same thing. Like it's just this dynamic evolution to what we know now. And of course, the first Mesa Mark or the first Boogie Mark, because they were boogies.
Yep.
And even technically today, the Mesa Mark series is still marketed as Boogie. They have evolved way differently than people would have anticipated. Because if you go back and you play like a Mark 1 and you compare it to even a Mark 2 C Plus or Mark 4, they're just totally different animals. They're all different.
Oh, yeah.
The Mark 5 is a further evolution.
Yep. That's the
did you see they Mesa put out another Boogie?
What?
Yeah, they did.
They weren't at NAMM, were they?
No.
I didn't think so.
No. Their whole thing is like they sell direct. Fuck it. They don't care anymore. They're honestly like they literally give no fucks about whatever trend is going on in the industry right now. Oh, everybody's going to NAMM. Good for them.
Oh, the 6v6?
No,
California Tweed?
Yeah, the California Tweed.
Yep, 6v6, 440. Oh, wow. Yeah, that looks pretty hot, too.
It was pretty a quiet announcement from them.
I think this is going to blow some Supro people away.
Yeah, I can't wait to actually play one, but
yep, same here.
Because it's a Tweed thing, and I'm not really Tweed amps, but I still want to try it out.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to see the Mesa take on a Tweed. I still haven't played a Triple Crown. Like, I need to get into good time. They'll let me play one.
Well, Mesa definitely knows what California. That's where they are. So
I still think the Fillmore is a good amp. I just think that I think now that the dust has settled, I would be more willing to buy one, even at the price they're selling them at now than. Or I played one the other day and I still just damn thing.
Well,
really good.
This California Tweed, you might like it even more knowing the price.
Yeah, I know. I saw the price already.
It's right there in line with the Lone Star Special. So
and also makes it in line with the Fillmore.
Yep.
So it's clear that Mesa realizes that they need to have like a more budget oriented line.
But what I like about this is it's
budget for them is still
budget for them is still well over $1,500. But so this thing is 40, 30, 20, 10, and 2 watt.
Yep. Goes down to an extreme low mode.
Yep. One channel.
Yeah. And so the reason why I'm not jumping head over heels for the thing is because number one, I'm not a big fan of the Tweed sound. Like I understand it has its place. My thing is so go down to 2 watts with tubes, and those tubes are not going to sound the same running.
No.
So, and that's why I'm like, I'd really rather just do an attenuator.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I think an attenuator is a smarter buy than a new.
Yeah. So anyway, that sounds like a good place to wrap up. I did not know about this amp.
It was not a NAMM announcement either.
Well, no, it wouldn't be because they don't do NAMM.
Yes, they don't. Right.
So they're like, yeah, fuck it. Who cares? We don't care.
They might have done NAMM in the past, but they don't really give a shit about that kind of thing.
No.
It's just it didn't go this year.
No, after.
Other notables we kind of just didn't talk about was the new Strymon, the Volante.
The Strymon?
don't think there was really any need for the Volante, but I guess some people really want magnetic drum echo sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there were a couple of acoustic guitar reveals at NAMM that probably interesting people. I know that who's the real popular British guy? He's got an acoustic coming out.
Oh, Guthrie Govan?
No, the young kid, the pop guy.
Oh, Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
He's got
Ed Sheeran has one.
And shock and disbelief, it's an affordable line too.
No way.
Yeah, it's supposed to be inexpensive.
Well, that's what they did with the Taylor Swift model too.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, big surprise. Like, I think they should.
Oh yeah, I agree.
He's a gateway guy. Like many bands that I'm sure that many of us grew up like learning their music and then realizing later that crap. Like Green Day, for example. You get a guitar and then like you start learning about the music and this is actually not that good. But it was a gateway for you.
Exactly.
If I had bands like Green Day, I wouldn't be listening to rock music. I don't know that I would be even that interested. So
yeah, it would be a different thing altogether, wouldn't it?
And hopefully listening to Jim and I rant and rave and actually talk about actual NAMM shit.
Yep.
I hope you sat through the first half hour of the podcast. If you're here, you probably did. I think that part of the podcast is more important than the gear stuff. We talk about gear a lot on this show. I think I want to underline the fact that gear is not as important as people make it out to be.
Yeah. I will before we get off, and I'll probably talk more about it in another episode, but I wanted to bring this up. So I saw a post in another guitar forum where someone had asked, he said, I've got a Fender Reverb, a 68 Fender Reverb or something like that, and a ME80 or something. And I want to get rid of it and get a modeling amp. What should I do so that I'm not chasing tone? I told him, I said, if you're getting a modeling amp, you're going to be chasing more tone than you already are chasing with what you've got. And my advice to him was, don't do that. But
you should sell it all and get a Fender Acoustasonic.
Yeah. And an
Acoustasonic. Not the amp.
And the resale on those Acoustasonic amps is poop.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Shit. Well, the thing is, like, I didn't really ever think they were all that bad.
What, the amp?
Yeah, I mean, they're not great.
They're not great, but they're not bad.
They're not the worst you can get.
I made a lot of money playing through a little Acoustasonic. I want to say it was 90-watt system. I would set that up on the top of a table in a little pizza place, playing a solo. 2 nights a week, 3 hours a night, and I made some really good money under the table doing that stuff. Not that I would never do anything under the table, or that I would never report it to.
One thing we forgot to talk about. One thing. Yeah. We'll say this for next episode, but I'll bring it up tonight. Rob Chapman has his own line of pedals coming out now.
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm kind of interested to see what those are like. I know that there's a lot of people who poo-poo on Rob Chapman, but I got to tell you, first of all, I'm a fan. Second of all, I love the new album. I really do, and I like the playing on it. I like his singing.
You talking about Dorje?
No, I'm talking about his new album. He's got a new album out. It's a huge seller.
Well, Dorje is his band. I was like,
yeah, no, it's not Dorje though. Dorje's not dead, but so Rob Chapman put out a new album, and so
it doesn't matter. Rabia is better anyway.
Yeah, that's what everybody. Yeah, I know everybody. Yeah, Rob Chapman.
I really do think Rabia is a fucking killer player, though.
Of course, Rabia is an incredible player. But he's got his new album is Clockwork Wolf.
Yeah, I think I heard
Company.
I'll check it out.
And you should really, I mean, if you got a chance, check it out. But his new pedals, I saw some stuff about it coming out, and I'm interested.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Well, so we've gone way over. I have been David.
I've been Jim.
And tonight we were your practical guitarists. Go away.
Good night.